games did you play when you were young?
I was skipping, and I was playing skipping. I don't know what that was. What's been done going around with a stone on the square?
Hopscotch.
Yeah, hopscotch, hurling, football. We used to be dancing between ourselves because we had a team of our own out in the field, and we used to be playing football and hurling. And what else now used we be at? Well, that's about all of them.
And would you play in the house, Sarah?
We couldn't play in the house, it was too small. We'd only be singing in the house. Do you know, we'd be always singing. Mammy used to bring the books out from Woolworths. That was the name of the place in Clonmel. And we'd all learn to sing. They were all singers by me, except I was the one who was left behind the door, as I said. When all the rest of them used to be great singers, and they used to learn all the songs and singing. All the old timers.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
So that's what we used to be doing anyway, for playing.
Okay. Did you play with boys?
We did, we had 6 brothers. We had to, sure, we couldn't leave them. There were 9 girls and 6 boys.
My God almighty.
Yeah, and there's 8 of the girls still there, and only 1 of the boys.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Tell you.
Did you go to the river or woods?
Oh, we did indeed always go down to the kennels. That's the only place we had to swim.
Up the Rock Road.
And do you know the kennels?
On the Rock Road.
Yeah, we're down there. We used to come down down the garden, Shine's garden, and come down and we'd be in the river. There,
You'd swim there?
We'd stay there, yeah. And we'd be going, we'd always go off to, Daddy used to cut trees. Daddy used to buy a tree every summer in Grove, and he'd say, that's to keep all of us off the road. There'd be no harm done, and everyone have to work. So we'd be down in the wood, cutting the stick, they'd knock the tree first, you know, then we'd be cutting it, and we'd only have cross cuts. Do you know what a cross cut is?
No.
Do you?
No.
No. You don't know what cross cuts are?
I don't.
Do you see, they were big saws that size with handles on each end, and there'd be 2 cutting. You'd be going down along the big thick tree, you know, and then we'd have small little ones, and we'd have slashers. Do you know what slashers are?
I don't think so. I'm just even with you.
A slasher is knocking off the bushes, do you know?
Right, yeah.
Like that, do you know, that's it.
Yeah.
And that's what's to keep us in the way we do no harm when we be off from school. And so that's the way our life went. We were in gardens always, thinning and pulling and everything.
Really? Yeah. Working.
Yeah, working.
Yeah.
Because you see, we got drills of the farmers to grow potatoes and things. We wouldn't have enough, and we wouldn't look for any money. We done it for free and set all theirs and thinned for them. And in the way, and then we'd get our own potatoes, because we only had the room for the corn in our own garden. We had to have a sack of corn, wheat wholemeal every week, and we used to go to 100 to make it into wholemeal, you know.
Yeah.
We used to be threshing, we used to have to thresh once a year.
In Mullinahone?
No,
here?
up at the house.
Oh.
And the threshing, do you know what the threshing engine is? Yeah, well, the threshing engine would come there, and we'd have all the bags, and it's a big bag you bring down to Mullinahone to make into wholemeal.
And then
And then we'd get a bag of flour at Alice Stapleton's house, Anne's. Do you know what Alice Stapleton's is?
Yeah.
There on the main that'd be for that every week now that. So Mammy used to have to make 9 cakes of bread about the size of that every day.
Every day?
Every day, yeah. You wouldn't get a crust in the morning. How could you, in the name of God, going to school and that many in it?
Yeah, God
I mean, if you had 17 around the table, hadn't you a full house?
God almighty, they worked hard, didn't they?
They did indeed.
She baked the bread every day.
Every day, yeah. And to sour milk, we used to, do you know the milk now that we're paying in the tin for soft milk, no fat?
Yeah.
That was the milk we were drinking 3 buckets every day with our dinner. we'd drink 3 buckets of that. And that was, they called that separated. And that was going down the shores, thrown it away. Yeah, and now they're selling it.
And they used to throw that away, they take
That was thrown away, exactly, yeah. And there'd be people passing up and I'd go out with a penny or tuppence, I'd ask them for a bucket of milk, you know. If we thought we hadn't enough, we could have a drink, and poor Mammy and Daddy would be gone much and we'd have a drink, you know. If they're coming in the morning.
Because it's hard to keep that many, you know, even just in bread and milk alone.
She never allowed fires with us in the day. Because no fire wasn't lit until they came back in the evening. Then they had been out, we'd have holidays. But of course when we'd be in school to be a different thing. So imagine 10 going out the gate together every morning.
It was some work.
Wasn't it? And you know, and everyone, all the big ones are on the outside of the small ones. And we were holding hands and we'd be going down the roads and 10 of us going out.
How many did you say altogether?
15 of us was there. And you see, when the little ones then came on, before we started doing our homework every night, Daddy'd make us teach all the small ones and wash them and settle them up and put them to bed. And then we'd have room in the kitchen at the table, you know, because there could only 6 of us fish at the table. And the lamp up on the wall and the Sacred Heart picture. And that's what we had. And we had a wheel at the fire. And we had a crane and we'd all the saucepans up, they'd hang on that. And when you'd be making the griddle bread, you had a small little thing with 3 legs. And if your Mammy thought she'd be short of bread any day, she'd say, oh, I'll make a griddle cake. She'd make a couple of griddle cakes in the morning and she'd put them on the pan, you know, on that. And it'd just be lovely.
Was that gorgeous, yeah. It was all brown bread.
Brown bread, yeah.
Healthy bread.
And she had white bread, and she had the flour as well, you know. But then some of them were different, they wouldn't eat any of the bread. She used to always have to get 2 grinders, and we used to have to teach all them. But we did it. And they were none even there able to read and write going to school. Do you know, there were no play schools or anything. No. So you were 4, and you went in then. But they were all able to read and write, and they could sing and everything from listening to the big ones. And many of the things they said they shouldn't be saying, maybe. Don't you know now when they're a crowd?
There's big ones.
Big fellas and little ones.
Exactly. Was the dinner always in the evening?
Always in the evening, yeah.
Yeah. After school.
In the evening when Mammy had come home from Yorkshire.
All right.
And she'd have to get it ready. She'd have to put on 3 stone of potatoes, and there'd be 15 heads of cabbage, and 3 stone of potatoes, 15 heads of cabbage, and then a full saucepan of all the vegetables, and she'd make sauce, white sauce then, and that, we had no such a thing. We used to have butter because we couldn't afford it. We used to get 17 vouchers for the butter. And we couldn't use it because we couldn't buy it, which is margarine we used to have. And we used to give the butter to the nuns and they'd give us dripping. And we used to call it the golden toast. We used to toast our bread, and you know, make it on the pan.
Yes, yeah.
Honest to God, just grand. One thing, we were never hungry.
No, doesn't sound.
No one ever had to report us anything was wrong.
Did you eat meat or fish?
We didn't eat anything, only we had onions. And we had no meat and we had no fish.
Ever, Sarah, wouldn't you have it at all much?
No, we never had meat, Harry, only all vegetables. We might have a bit of meat at Christmas, but we couldn't buy it,
Yeah. And you find it healthy, you all live what?
The amount of people in the house, you couldn't have bought enough.
No, not at all, that many. Yeah. And I mean, we never missed it.
No, and you're finding healthy. And
all of us are still there. There's 10 of us still there.
Yeah.
Out of the 15.
Healthier food.
Yeah. And that was everything out of the garden we ate.
Yeah.
All the vegetables, all the things. We never had meat. There was no such a thing as pizzas or anything like that. No. Mammy then would make apple tarts. She used to make these apple tarts in the big pots. And we used to be all fighting over the pot to scrape it, you know. God help
Happy
us.
times.
Lord, they were great. And how she used to do that and wash it. She'd be up in the morning at 4 o'clock and you'd see all the white things on the line. In the morning, the white things. And she'd have to wash them with the washboard and the things. And then she'd have another load going in and out all day.
God. And you should go out to work as well?
She went to the laundry, yes.
Oh my God. For how many hours a day?
She'd work from 9 until 4.
There's some women.
And only half a crown a day.
And then
30 pennies.
And did your mother live to be old?
Mammy died at 71. She was a diabetic and they didn't know anything about it.
But still in those days that wasn't a bad age either, do you know?
No, and Daddy's lived to be 79.
Yeah. Where did you live when you were young?
I lived with my grandmother out in Kyle, outside Rangan.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you not live on the Castle Road?
We didn't all the time until we got the new house.
All right.
Do you know?
Oh, I didn't know.
Because we hadn't a home. Daddy was doing Daddy was minding a place for an old lady in the county Kilkenny. I was born in the castle, you know.
No.
And he was doing and then that woman died, and whoever got the castle anyway was selling it. So Daddy had no job then. But we came in then to my grandmother's, and after a year or so that we got a house up the Castle Road.
Was there a Townsend up there, Sarah? What was the name of the...
Huh?
Was it Brodeen or where were you?
Monroe.
Monroe.
Yeah.
Very good.
That was Monroe.
And at night now, when you'd be sitting down, would you talk and chat or would you...
Yeah, I'd just be bright up to 11 o'clock.
You'd be out?
In the night, and we'd be out in the fields. Or now we'd be near hand, we'd be only out in Coffey's field now across from us, across the road. But on other times then, when we'd be back from the wood, you know, after cutting the sticks, I tell you, you wouldn't be fit for running around too much. But otherwise we got on well.
Yeah, and would you tell stories at night? Or
We would indeed, we'd be telling lies.
Would you remember any stories, Sarah?
Huh?
Would you remember any stories or ghost stories?
Only the banshee.
Yeah, what was that?
That was, myself and Johanna was in the bedroom one night and we doing our hair. And we'd get ready for down our hop or something the next night, not knowing whether we'd be going or not, but we were getting ready. And the banshee went down with the wind, you'd hear her roaring a mile away. We knew it was the banshee, but we couldn't say nothing because there were small ears listening. We didn't like to frighten the life of them. Poor Johanna nearly fainted. She had to fall down, lie down in the bed. I didn't, I stuck it out. And but the man that Shines died that night.
Imagine.
The father of Paddy Shine and all them.
All right.
Do you know that man?
How many people stayed in the one bedroom?
6 of us. 3 beds. The big room was for the girls, and the smaller room was for the boys. And Mammy and Daddy had their own room, and that's all we had in the kitchen.
Imagine.
Yeah. And they talking about everything, you know.
Rooms to themselves
and scrubbing we used to be. Boards, do you know boards? You scrubbed them every weekend.
Yeah.
And everything was done, and we always had a secret drawer. And that was for the dead people, or for a christening, or for anyone that was sick. And poor Mammy would go and lay them out and everything, and she had all these things in this secret drawer, and then no one was to touch them, no, they didn't.
What do you remember about your school years?
Well, I was only in school until I was 13 because I finished at 6th class. And I couldn't, I loved school, got on great in it.
Probably would have liked to stay on, would you?
I would have loved, and they'd love to have kept Mamie, but they had no money. She was brilliant. She was our Mamie below the credit union.
I did.
And she was like a solicitor, wasn't she?
She was brilliant.
And she only went to 6th class.
Yeah. So you just hadn't the chance to stay on?
We hadn't, there were no such a thing as free education at that time, supposed to be, but anyway, we couldn't go.
And what did you do at 13?
I went working to the convent.
In Fethard?
Yeah, and I was working in the convent, yes, and I had to get out of it. The doctor told me to get out of it or to kill me. It was anthracite they were using in the convent, and it was affecting me. I got terribly sick. I melted away, And he said to me, is she working? He said to Mammy, she said, poor Mammy, she's working in the convent. Why? Get her out of it, he said, it's anthracite is killing her.
Yeah.
You see, they had a big double cooker. Do you know what anthracite? Do you know what anthracite is?
Well, it's a kind of coal, it's sort of kind of a fuel.
It's just small stuff. Anthracite, they above around Ballingarry. In the mines.
There was a lot of immigrants, was there?
Yeah.
And did a load of your family went then, did
They
they?
did, yeah.
And did they stay there?
And they stayed there and they'd come back. They didn't come back, and when the smaller ones go down to Mises at the train was beside us, you see. At the station, at the end of our garden, the railway was. And the house was there just down from us. And Mammy said to the smaller ones at the house, go down now and meet the lads that are coming off of the train. The big ones didn't know the small ones, the small ones didn't know the big ones.
Imagine, in your family.
In our family.
Imagine.
No.
Yeah. So a lot of your sisters and brothers went off to England.
They did, yeah.
And how many did came back? I know
And Johanna went to Dublin, she never came back, she's gone over 60 years. Nellie and Philomena went to England and went from that to Australia. They came home on different holidays, but they're not coming now.
No. And was Tessie the only one who came back and settled here?
She was, yeah.
And Margaret?
And Margaret, yeah.
Yeah. And you never moved?
I was ready to go, and all of a sudden I was about taking a rest for a week at home. I said to Mammy, to Mercy and them all, I said, I'm going away now to Dublin, I'm going off working now, I'm looking for a job now. I was searching the paper, do you know, the Herald? And I was looking at that and said, what are you doing looking for a job? I said, and the next day was there 5 or 6 the day after looking for me. And I went to Mrs. Newby below Buck Street for a month's trial. I stayed there 16 years.
Did you?
Yeah.
And do you remember the fair day in Fethard?
The what?
The fair day in Fethard.
I do indeed, yes. All the shops used to have their railings outside them, and Mrs. Hughes, the ICA, used to have the van in the middle of the street for giving out their breakfast if they wanted it. I do indeed. And the street used to be filthy.
And you used to have to go down through the street to school?
Oh, we used, yeah. And I remember one day we were, and you know what was killing us altogether was, because you see all the cattle was coming up. We met all the cattle on the road coming up, going into the side, over the bridge and into the wagons at that side of the station, where they had passed us. And I remember we were going down the hill, there were a hill there at the time from the bridge. And what we had to do was put our back against the wall, the whole lot of us, all the small ones, to let off the cattle and stand at the wall and don't move. And the man that owned it, all the cattle, came over and said to me, Miss Evan Johanna was the 2 biggest ones. And he said, yeah, the one we are, sir, I said. Well, do you know what? He said, your mother should get a gold medal. And he gave me money. I didn't know how much it was paper money anyway. And he said to me, what are you going to do it? And you live up there, I said, I'm going up with it to Mammy. Because I said, if you brought that to school, they'd say you took it somewhere. So I brought it up to poor Mammy, she didn't know what happened. But it was great, you know.
What are the biggest changes in the area over the years?
Well, everything has got changed, love. They're terrible changes.
What are the biggest ones out here, the ones that you'd notice most there?
Well, what kills me altogether is I don't see the people going to Mass. As sure as you're there and going to confession. And I'll always remember the 2 boys I had here, they were serving. And they were below serving the Monday night at the Miraculous Medal. And Father Noonan, the Light of Heaven tune, came on as Danny and Paul was serving. And Danny said to Father Noonan, we'll see you tomorrow evening, Father. That was a Sunday evening. See you tomorrow evening for the Miraculous Medal. You won't, he said. We're not having that anymore. No, that ended that way. The 2 boys came home and said to me, I couldn't believe them.
Imagine.
And you know yourself the way the chapel used to be packed. You wouldn't get to see it for the Miraculous Medal.
And Sarah, there must be other changes now that you can think of.
Oh Lord, they are.
You danced in the town hall, I'm sure.
Oh Lord, I danced for years. There's four, Philomena, Margaret, Nellie, Tessie, Mamie and me and Johanna be going in first. Yeah, it's 8:45 and we dance until 4 in the morning. And the hall below, Lord, like a maple floor, you know, and Lord, just be great.
And you used to go to the platforms?
Oh yeah, we'd be going for clippings up the railway, except in Johanna. And you couldn't put on your clean dress going out in the night. They'd ask you where we were going. We used to put on in the morning. We had it all down. And we'd drive up the railway line and to the above in Kilknockan, you'd see the platform was. There was another one below in Grove. There were another one up up that, the Castle Road and toward Silverport. All them places. Lord, there's be great dancing.
And you'd sneak out to the platform?
Yeah. And one night Daddy wouldn't let us go and I left Johanna inside the room and I went off out the window and I went down the garden and anyway and down along in the dark and off up to the centre. That's where the pop was. Front in the town hall, you see. It was only 4 pennies up here.
The Terry Centre, is it?
Yeah, just Leomar and all them were playing, do you know? Now you would know. And Big Mackie and Paddy Grand, they were the band that was here at the time, their own band. And so, but anyway, I was dancing anyway, and I'm flying around above in a set. Who did I see? I looked up to the door and there's me poor father. He never couldn't catch up to me going home, but he met me in the morning.
You haven't done a song then, or a poem or anything?
Oh, I'm not a singer at all. Sure.
Have you a poem?
Did I have it? All I have is prayers. Look, I get 2 hours and a half now today praying.
Good.
I read the paper in the morning and then I say my prayers afternoon.
For a
I
few
get
hours?
2.5 hours, all the dead, all the sick, and I'm praying there for half an hour now. Laura started at 2 o'clock doing her exams. And I prayed for that half an hour for Laura and all the rest of the boys and girls that's doing their exams.
You're great.
God help us, they all need help.